Shooting flower images with a shallow depth of field like f2.8 or f3.5 can give you very beautiful results. However, you can also get areas of the flower that are out of focus that you wish were in focus. On today's episode, I want to discuss some workarounds that will help us correct these type of issues. Stay tuned. Hello everyone and welcome to The Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. A couple of days ago I was shooting some images out in Pennsylvania at a sunflower farm. I forget the name of the place, but it was beautiful fields of sunflowers and there was bees on the sunflowers and it was really quite a photo opportunity. And as I was there, I was thinking, you know what, I want to get a lot of these flowers in focus, but I still want to get a dreamy background. Now, this particular image that you see right here was shot at f11 because I thought f11 is going to let me get most of the flower in focus, if not all, as you can see here in focus. But the background is just not quite right. I just wish it was a little bit more out of focus. And so when I was out shooting that day, I thought, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shoot a lot of my images instead of settling for that really very shallow depth of field using like a 2.8 or a 3.5. I'm going to shoot my images at f11 or f16, and that's going to let me get all of the flower pretty much in focus. Now, normally I would go out and shoot images like this. I'd be out at like, as I said, like 2.8, 3.5, maybe f5.6, because I want that dreamy bokeh background to separate the background from the flower. And I think that's quite a beautiful look. And a lot of flower photographers work hard to try to achieve that. Now, we could use things out in the field like a tripod and we can do focus stacking, but I don't like to do that because it takes too much time. Light is changing, a bee is on the flower, you know what I mean? I don't have time to do focus stacking, so I need a quicker and a more reliable way to get this process done. And another thing is, I don't like to use a tripod, so I like to use a high ISO because I know I have Topaz denoise AI and I have Topaz Sharpen AI to take care of noise issues and sharpening issues by me using high ISOs. And if I get a little bit of camera movement or shake, I know Sharpen AI will fix that for me. Now, when I was out in this sunflower field, an epiphany happened. A thought hit me, hey Dave, you're always doing videos on Topaz Mask AI. This time, why don't you do this? Again, shoot all your images at say f11 or f16. And after a while, I just decided, you know what? I'm shooting everything at f16. I want to get as much as that flower in focus as I can. And to heck with the background. I'll worry about that when I get back to Photoshop and editing. And there, I'm simply going to use Topaz Mask AI to blur out those backgrounds and give me those nice dreamy bokehs. And I thought, this is a perfect opportunity to try this and test this out. And I want to share this with you now. My first test started out at f11. Now this particular image is f11 and the ISO is ISO 1600. So I denoised it, I sharpened it, I used Topaz Denoise AI and Sharpen AI, and then I sent it into Topaz Mask AI and I end up with this image here. And now I feel I have that perfect separation from the background. I still see the beautiful sunflowers back there, but my beautiful sunflower with the bee on it in the front is in beautiful focus because I shot it at f11. And so I'm really happy with this result. Again, here is the before and here is the after. It just cleans it up and it just makes that sunflower say, hey everyone, look at me. Now here's my next image. Again, this image was shot at ISO 1600 f11 to get the entire sunflower in focus. But I like the bokeh on this image. It's pretty good, but I thought a little bit more dreamier, a little more softer would be really nice. And so I sent this into Topaz Mask AI and I end up with this. And now this image to me, I just love it so much more because I have that nice blur in the background and that sunflower says, hey, look at me. And also, look, we got a bee on here. And I loved the position where this bee was at. And again, if I was working with the tripod and trying focus stacking and all that kind of a thing, it would take me forever to get this shot and I would miss it, I guarantee you. Next, I want to show you an image I shot with f3.5. And that's this image right here. Now, as you can see, I got a nice bokeh background here, but however, look at the flower. This area of the flower is out of focus. This area is in focus here. And sometimes you want that. Sometimes you want certain parts of the flower out of focus. Am I going to stop shooting with 3.5, 2.8? No. There's times when you're going to need it, especially when you're thinking more artistic shots. But on this particular shot, no, I want this entire flower in focus. Now, I shot it again at f16, and here's what it looks like. Everything is in focus now, right? At f16, I'm really happy with this. But look at this background. Do you want this background or do you want this background? I want this background. I don't want this background, but I want this flower to look like this in focus, and I don't want the flower to look like this. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this image here that was shot at f16 ISO 1600. Now, I've already run it through Topaz Denoise AI and Topaz Sharpen AI. Let me zoom in here to just show you the before and after. So here's what it looks like before noise reduction and sharpening. As you can see, there's a lot of noise in here, and it's slightly on the soft side. But now after Denoise AI and Sharpen AI, I have lots of focus and no noise whatsoever. Now let me take you back to the original image in Lightroom. So here's how it started out in Lightroom. I made some basic adjustments in Lightroom Classic, just trying to make it look the best I could. I've used no detail settings, in other words, no sharpening, no noise reduction, just a little bit of color noise reduction. That's my workflow, and it makes sense for me. And I have videos explaining why I do it this way. I just use Lightroom Classic's default setting of 25, and I always do lens corrections, remove chromatic aberrations, and enable profile corrections. And then I brought it right here into Photoshop. And again, I ran it through Denoise AI and then Sharpen AI. And next, we're going to go ahead and send it into Topaz Mask AI. I have Mask AI set up that I don't have to duplicate the background layer. All I need to do is come up here to Filter, come to Topaz Labs, and find Topaz Mask AI. Click on that, and that'll open up Topaz Mask AI, and we will get started. Now we're in Topaz Mask AI. Now, Topaz Mask AI uses a system called a tri-map system, and basically there's three colors involved. You see I have a blue brush here. That's a compute brush. You can see the image itself has like green overlay on it. Right now that means it's going to keep everything in the image, and then there's a color red for cut. So what I like to do first is outline what I want to keep with this blue compute brush, okay? And you can use your left and right bracket key to make this brush a little larger or smaller. I'm just going to go around here really quick. I may end up speeding this up just so you don't have to sit and watch me do this. But it's pretty quick. You can just go around it. You can also do like a shift click if you have a bunch of straight lines. And I have videos showing you how that all works. But this is pretty simple. I'm just going to go around this, painting this compute area here. And I'm going to come down the stem right here. This little leaf right here, I'm going to get rid of. I'm going to let that blur out. Now I need to do a cutout, and I want to cut out the background because I want the background to be blurred. And to do that, see the bucket over here? Click on the bucket, and you have a blue compute bucket, a green keep, and a red cut. I'm going to click on this cut bucket and click right here one time, and that's all I need to do. Next up, I'll go and click compute mask. Now you have three choices here. Mask mode. You have AI, artificial intelligence, which is generally the one I use. You have translucent, and think wedding veils for that kind of a thing. And contrast. That would be like very simple masking jobs. Like you have like a skyline to a city. There's just a lot of straight lines and stuff like that. Contrast is all you need, but this time I will use AI. So let me go ahead and click compute, and we'll give it a second or two here to go ahead and compute. And it happens pretty quick here, and they keep improving this stuff all the time, and it gets better and better. But there I am, I'm cut out. And now it's time to have some fun. Now there's some areas on the flower that need fixed, and I'll go back and fix those. But first off, let's go and click on background. And we have choices here. We have none, which is this checkerboard pattern, meaning the background is just simply cut out. We have blur, which is what I use for my flower photography. We have color if we just want to throw a color back there, or we could put a different image back there if we click on image. But I want to use blur to blur out that background. So what we're going to do is click on blur and look at that beautiful bokeh background. Now, we can adjust the strength of the blur, but before I do that, let's come up here to view. We have different ways of viewing here. We can view, right now we're seeing 2 panes, but let's go to a single view pane. Now, you'll notice I have my tri-map back up here, and I don't want that. So all you need to do, see this little apple right here, click this, and then you have choices. I'm going to click on keep, and now we'll just see the blurred background. Now, we can adjust the strength of that blur. So if I take the strength slider, move it to the right, you notice how it gets more blurred. Or I can move it to the left and make it look more like a simulation of a out of focus bokeh background with a lens. You can go crazy here and go real blurry. It depends on what you want, but I want mine to look like a shallow depth of field on a lens. So I'm going to play with this strength until I get it to look natural for me. And I think right there, that's a 25, 24. Right there, I think looks really good. I'm going to settle on this. Now notice here you have a bunch of different adjustments. You have exposure. You can darken the background if you want to, or lighten it up, whatever you need. You can double click and set it back to where it was. You can adjust the contrast. You can pull the highlights back like this if I wanted to get rid of some of those highlights in the background. I'm just going to double click it and leave it the way it is. But you can adjust shadow, a white point, a black point. You can change the temperature of that background, the tint, and the saturation. Then see where it says adjust, you can change it to the foreground, and then you can work in the foreground. Now you may ask yourself, well, why do they have background and why do they have foreground? Whenever you're doing things like adding a new sky to an image, say for instance, you can go ahead and adjust that sky, which might be, it's probably going to be from a different photograph, right? And you need to marry it into the foreground of the image you're adding that sky to. So you might have to adjust them separately. So you would adjust the foreground separately from the background. Now, can't you do that in Photoshop? Absolutely. But this particular piece of software lets you do it all within the software quickly and easily. And to me, it's a lot faster to do it right in this program. Now, when I'm working with Topaz Mask AI, I don't like to spend too much time in here fiddling around. In other words, we could do a bunch of refinement adjustments. If I click on refine, you'll see I can adjust edge, hardness, strength, shift the edge, do some foreground recovery, defringe. A lot of times I don't even mess with that stuff, to be honest with you. Basically what I'll do is I'll come to the brushes here. Now I use shortcut keys. Q for the compute brush, W for the keep brush, and E for the cut brush. And basically what I'll do is, if I see areas that it missed, I'll type my E key and make my brush a little bit smaller here. And what I'll do is I'll just paint right down along here, and it'll get rid of that area where it missed. Can you see the area it missed? It takes an extra couple of seconds the first time I apply the paint brush, but after that it's fast. And you see where it missed the little area right there? And right here, I think it missed a little spot right down here. So I'm going to just paint right down there. It eats into there, but I don't care, and I'll show you why. To me, this is faster and easier. I'm just going to paint right here. Now I can painstakingly come in here and go to a green keep brush and say, I can paint this in and say, fix that up. And I can do all that. But I'm going to do this in Photoshop, and it's going to be a lot quicker and a lot easier to do that. And like this area here, see where it missed this area here? I'll fix that in Photoshop. The areas I'm interested in are the areas that I need to go out of focus, like right here. See right in here? I'm going to go to a cut brush. That's my E shortcut key, and I'm just going to paint right here very sloppily, and it's going to eat into the flower, but I don't care. And you'll see how fast I can fix this in Photoshop. Anything else? Everything else looks good. Like I said, it missed that spot right there. Here's a little spot right in here that it missed. So I'm just going to paint right there. It's going to eat into the flower, but again, I'll fix it in Photoshop. It missed this little spot right here, but I can fix that in Photoshop as well. And that looks good. I may miss a spot here, but hey, it's a tutorial, so forgive me for that. But I think everything looks good. I'm just going to paint down here one more time and let that eat into that a little bit, and I'll show you how easy that is, again, to fix. All right, so I am done here. All I need to do now is click apply. Now it's going to give me an option here. Apply image as transparent, meaning it'll send it back into Photoshop with a layer mask. It'll create the layer mask for me, and then I will do all my blurring and so on inside of Photoshop. But I find it easier to do it right here in Topaz Mask AI. My other option is to click on composite. It'll send it back with the blur already attached to the image itself. And that's the one that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and click composite. And as soon as I click composite, it'll send it right back into Photoshop. And you'll see I have my blurred background on it. Now that we're back in Photoshop, notice that I have a layer mask attached to this layer that came back from Topaz Mask AI, which, by the way, is called Topaz Sharpen AI Copy because Mask AI just copied this layer. But this is the layer that was sent back from Mask AI. So if I shut this eye off, you can see the original background, and now I have my nice soft out of focus background. Now let's go ahead and zoom into the image here, and we're going to fix some areas that we need to fix. I'm going to get a brush, and I just use my shortcut of B for brush. Make sure you have a brush that's at 100% opacity and 100% flow, and it can be pretty soft as well. And I want to paint with black paint on this mask. Now don't paint on your pixel layer. Make sure you have your mask selected, okay? Make sure you're on your layer mask, and then with black paint, just paint here and you'll fix it right up. See that? I can just paint that in. That's what I mean, how simple it is to paint in. And now down on this flower down here, I can just paint that tip back in. I can overpaint here and then just change my paint. I'll just type X to change the white paint, make my brush smaller, and I'll just simply fix it just like that. But that's how easy it is to fix that. So I figure, why waste the time? And remember, up in here, I screwed it up. Make sure I paint with black paint here, and I'll just paint it in here like so. Make my brush a lot smaller. I'm just going to use my left bracket key. Now I'm going to paint with white paint. Originally I painted that back in with black paint, but now I'm painting with white paint. And I'll just fix that little spot up right like that. It's just that easy to fix. And was there another area? Oh, here's a little spot here it missed. Make sure you're painting with black paint and just paint that right back in. And next we'll come down to the stem, and the same thing with black paint. Just start to paint on the stem itself. Use a nice soft brush, and again, you want to be painting with black paint, and just start painting down along here, and just like that, you will just simply fix it up. So like I said, why waste all that time in Topaz Mask AI when you can fix little issues here? And to me, that really speeds up your entire workflow. And so now let's go ahead and take a look at the overall image. Here's what it looked like before it went into Topaz Mask AI. And now after Mask AI, we have that nice soft bokeh background. Now let's compare it to the original camera shot image using f3.5. So here's the original image with f3.5. But notice we have all this area out of focus here, but by using Topaz Mask AI and shooting at f16, we now end up with the same type of result, only now our entire flower is in focus. Pretty cool, wouldn't you say? Well, there you go, everyone. Give this a try the next time you're out shooting some flower photography and you want that nice, dreamy, soft bokeh background. Try shooting at f16 and then use Topaz Mask AI to blur out the background. And then let me know what kind of results you're getting. I'd really love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this tutorial today, please give it a like, share it with your friends. If you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe, click that bell notification icon. Then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll be notified about it. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today in The Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly, and I'll see you all right here next time. But until then, happy editing.